Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to 4Strategy Gaming. Going to be casting a game for you today between Mouse's Naama and FX OpTiKzErO. And right off the bat, we are seeing something a little unstandard. We do see OpTiKzErO moving out very early with that probe, so likely going to be seeing a proxy from him. Now, this is a 3-game series between the two players, and I will be bringing you all 3 games, so hopefully it's an exciting matchup and an exciting series from the players. I will let you know ahead of time, my voice is a little hoarse. I was casting all day yesterday for the StarCraft 2 New England League, and we were trying to live stream that event. Unfortunately, because of net issues at our venue, we weren't able to do that. And look at this, definitely going to be seeing a proxy right now for OpTiKzErO. Now, I want to let you know we did record a majority of the games, so I will be getting those up for you on the channel. It's just going to be a matter of time until I actually get those replays of the commentary for us to go ahead and post up. But as soon as I do, they will be made available for you and should be exciting. I had a really good time. I'm going to be advertising that a little bit more, just going to be promoting it on my channel because it's a lot of fun. I know nowadays with Battle.net and majority of the tournaments being just online, it's kind of taken away some of the community, but it is really a good time to be able to play with friends and be able to actually be at a venue with people to have a tournament. That's definitely something really enjoyable. And again, we can see here OpTiKzErO coming out with that proxy gateway being dropped right there, and they're going to have those zealots rallied right inside Naama's base. Now, as soon as Naama moves the SCV inside of OpTiKzErO's base, he's going to know what's going on because he would typically see a pylon and a gateway warping in as well as an assimilator coming, but he's going to see none of those things. So at that moment, Naama will know some early aggression is coming. So it is just a moment in time until he figures this out. We can see him moving forward right now, and here we go. This is going to be the moment of enlightenment where he knows at this point something is going on. This is not standard. There is no assimilator coming in, so something funny is happening. We can see that first gateway is finished. The zealots being chrono boosted in right now, and again, in preparation of that attack, look at this little SCV hanging out. Guess what he's doing? That's what he's doing right there. Bunker going to be placed down, knowing that that push is coming. He needs to get up and needs to make sure that he has some Marines in order to deal with this. So going to be seeing some zealot aggression. First zealot is out right now. Second zealot being chrono boosted as well. First zealot just kind of hanging out. There we go. So finally moving in the proper direction. That first zealot wants to get inside of Naama's base and do as much damage as possible. Marine is out, going to be microing, moving that move shoot and trying to take out that probe, but the probe does get away. First zealot moving forward, but that bunker coming up just in time. Tons of SCVs moving down, trying to get us around there on that zealot. Is he going to kill any SCVs? One does almost. Yes, one does go down. Does the second SCV go down? Yes, it does. And that zealot is finally dead, but the second zealot has just been brought into the battle, and the probe's shields have recharged, so still alive, still going to help with the damage, but going to be target firing. No, the guy actually target firing the zealot. There we go, finally knocking down that probe. Zealot's going to be forced to pull back right now. Some good micro so far from Naama. Zealot's hiding behind the fog right there, going to be chopping down the Marine as soon as it comes in, but do realize that when that Marine moves in, it does give that second Marine vision, so definitely a very tenuous situation for both players. We do have 2 zealots on the board right now, so going to be pushing forward. He wants to try to spread out those Marines, and you can see him doing a good job there of that. 2 zealots chasing the one, but 1 Marine in the bunker. We're just going to see those Marines hop into and out of that bunker. That's the best way for them to deal with this. Pulling back that low health zealot, trying to get one forward. Very close. Yes, does chop down that 1 Marine. Second Marine getting low health, trying to target this Marine, but so close to the bunker. He does just hop in right there. That zealot is down, and the other zealot is dead as well. So far, this push has been delayed quite a bit. We can see here, we do have a Stalker coming out, but are there any Marauders on the way? We do have this Tech Lab coming out right now, so I don't think that Marauder is going to be out quite in time to deal with this first Stalker. We can see this first Stalker right now just about finished, and the Stalker, of course, is going to do very well against these Marines this early in the game. Now, inside of OpTiKzErO's base, we can see him preparing for transition. That gateway is up right now inside of his base. We do have the Cybernex Corp getting that Warp Gate research as well. Marines in the bunker. Stalker wants to avoid that, and lots of SCVs moving down, trying to get us around right now. He obviously wants to avoid that, microing away that Stalker, trying to do as much damage as possible while staying away from that bunker. The first Marauder's just about in, and once that's up, it's going to be very difficult for this push to be any more effective. So this isn't looking quite too good anymore for OpTiKzErO. He hasn't done quite enough economic damage. Naama's been doing a really good job of holding this back, and again, great bunker placement, allowing him to just pull the units out when necessary. You're going to be target firing the supply depot though, so this could drop unless at this moment Naama pulls down to do something about it, moving out with that Marauder and 2 Marines, and that threat right there is going to push OpTiKzErO back. So inside of his base right now, we can see we've got the second gateway coming in as well as this robotics, and the reason I say the second gateway is because this right here is an obvious loss. OpTiKzErO is going to lose this. There's really nothing he can do about it at this point. It's pretty much the push is done. Once those Marauders hit the board, not going to be nearly as effective, especially since he does have that concussive shell on the board. So Stalker's going home right now. Nice little pylon at the edge of the base here. Going to be scouting any sort of airdrops from medevacs and or even Banshee pushes. So we can see right now, going to be going 2-gate robo for the time being. Might see some pressure from this point on Naama's behalf. Wouldn't be surprised if Naama tries to be a little bit aggressive at this point. We can see right now Factory is getting a tech lab on, and we do have the starport up. So maybe even going into Banshees, that wouldn't be the worst of ideas for Naama, trying to take his opponent off guard, knowing that he is behind in that push. But obviously OpTiKzErO, being a good player, has realized that with that early push, he was a little susceptible to cloak. So getting that Robox facility, also getting that observer, and that of course will also allow for some great scouting on his behalf. And we are seeing lots of defensive structures being placed down. We do have these 2 bunkers right now in the front. Probably going to be seeing a salvage of this backwards bunker, because that won't be quite as necessary once this one is up. So Naama worried about continuous aggression, getting these bunkers. This is going to make him nice and secure against that. And then also here we go, that Banshee is coming out as well as that cloak research. Now again, realize that there is an observer out right now for OpTiKzErO, so the cloak isn't going to be quite as effective because of that. But either way, there is still a lot of harassment, especially, you know, if he's able to hit at multiple angles. Maybe bring a Banshee in here and then a Banshee over here as well, trying to hit in multiple positions so that that observer has to concentrate on one or the other. And what do we have going down over here? Looks like an expansion. I did see that probe down there, and he had just enough resources, so dropping that expansion. Also with this nice little pylon right here, giving him extra vision of any sort of pushes coming. Seeing that Hellion move forward right now, and the Hellion's actually going to be spotting the expansion. Yes, he is, so moving right into the expansion. So at this point right now, Naama does know about that, so he would be he would not be ill-advised to actually go ahead and get an expansion. That would be quite wise of him. So going to be moving down right now, and looks like, there we go, is getting an expansion himself. He really had 2 choices. He either needed to try to take this out or go ahead and expand himself, and we did see that he chose to expand. And right now, here we go, Banshee moving out for Naama. So this is really a good opportunity for Naama to do a lot of damage, moving in with the Banshee. The cloak just about finished right now. Observer all the way inside of his base, so he's going to be able to do a lot of damage right now. Cloak very, very close right now. Wants to micro away from those stalkers as much as possible. Cloak has just finished, so he can go ahead and drop that cloak at any time. It looks like he is, however, going to be moving down into the expansion of OpTiKzErO. He wants to try to do a little bit of damage to this. It's obviously going to take him quite some time to actually kill it, but either way, any damage he can do is going to help in that cause. And here we go, second Banshee moving out right now as well. And where's that observer? Observer moving down to the expansion, so very dangerous position right now. Naama's going to be doing a little bit of damage over here, but here we go, Banshee moving into the main, going to be killing a bunch of probes, and this is a real big loss right now. OpTiKzErO is taking heavy losses. This Banshee did manage to get out just in time. Banshee over here going to be getting some warped in stalkers, and with that observer can see that Banshee, so going to be forcing that back right now. So really tough situation for OpTiKzErO. He really has to, oh, he does have 2 observers right now, so he's going to be able to spot both areas. A little bit perplexed as to why both observers are moving in the same direction, though. That is, of course, very unnecessary. There you go. Go ahead and move down to the expansion so he can defend both areas at the same time. So at this point, right now, OpTiKzErO is pretty all set against the cloak Banshees. That threat isn't quite as heavy anymore. Inside of Naama's base, what do we have right now? We do have a excuse me, there we go. I told you my voice is gonna be a little hoarse today. We do have a siege tank coming out right now. And is there a second siege tank out as well? No, just the, oh, there we go. So there's a siege tank. We have a second one coming out as well. That siege mode is finished, so gonna be going Marine, Tank, and Marauder. Pretty solid build, especially against Toss. So it's going to work pretty well. We can see here moving into a nice defensive position. Naama is going to be able to kind of easily defend his expansion at this point. It looks like, yeah, he's definitely worried about a destruction of these rocks and a push from the Protoss player. We can see at this moment, you know, OpTiKzErO is kind of on his back heel. Some more Banshee harassment going down, but that cloak's again not going to be quite as effective because we do have observers at both locations. But good job on Naama managing to get that Banshee out of there alive, bring it back home, get a repair job, and then go ahead and go back into the action. We do have these 2 Banshees hanging out right here, maybe moving in at a later point to do some harassment, maybe when he's distracted by something else. That of course would be a good idea, you know, hitting at the front and then moving into the back with the Banshees could be quite effective. We can see still more Banshees coming out right now. Also very heavy on the Marine production. We do have 2 reactors. We're getting another barracks as well as a factory, so going to be at this point sitting on 3 barracks and 2 factories and the starport, and that of course is about right when you consider the fact that he does have a second expansion up. Moving down with this Marine, looks like he's going to be checking the high yield, wants to know if OpTiKzErO was bold enough to try to go for that, and actually looks like we do have an observer moving down as well for OpTiKzErO, so both players are wondering what's going on at the high yield, want to check that momentarily. I wonder how many observers we have on the board right now for OpTiKzErO. We do have 3, so he's going to have 1 at the main natural and then 1 for scouting. That's his idea at this point. Again, knowing that Cloak Banshees are on the board, he does, of course, want to defend those expansions. Now, about at this point in the game, both players have really two choices, either just building up and trying to go for a really large, heavy army to either push or defend, or moving into another expansion. Another expansion right about now wouldn't be the worst of ideas. We can see, in fact, OpTiKzErO is checking for that third expansion first at the high yield, and then is going to be moving right over here. You can see that observer right on the way. So OpTiKzErO thinking the same thing, that his opponent may have considered a third at this point, but again, both players just on 2 bases right now, building up their army right now. Taking a look at the production tab, we do have Psionic Storm on the way out, so that Templar Archives is up. We're going to be seeing some High Templar coming in. Now, over inside of Naama's base, we do have a bunch of Marines coming out, getting some nice upgrades here as well. A couple more tanks and 2 more barracks being dropped as well, so definitely going to be going very bio-heavy. We can see, look at all of these bunkers right outside of Naama's base right here, doing what he can to defend against any pushes through those rocks, and this is obviously really solid placement here. And what's going on over here, we do have 3 Banshees moving into the expansion, into the main rather, of OpTiKzErO. Cloak going down, but again, this observer right here is going to kind of nullify any effectiveness of that cloak. Going to be target firing those stalkers, but going to be forced to pull back very shortly, and that was unfortunate, dropping those 2 Banshees, and this third Banshee going to be very close to dying. Is he going to escape in time? Yes, he does. So it does just manage to get out of there, and lots of tech going on over here for Naama. We can see Ghost on the way out, Ravens coming out as well. Ghost Academy is up. It would be really awesome if we could see some nukes. Not sure we're going to, but I would definitely quite enjoy that. Banshee's going to be moving down to the expansion in hopes that there isn't an observer over here, but I'm pretty sure that there is. Yes, there is. So observer is right there. So this Banshee isn't going to be that effective at the expansion, but just going to be chilling over there for the time being. And yeah, lots of tech coming out right now for both players, actually. We do have that Kaidaran amulet, or however the hell you pronounce that, coming out. That's going to be giving those High Templar those extra energy, as well as another forge for some more upgrades. And big movement going on right now for OpTiKzErO. Going to be moving to the center here. Wants to take control of that Xel'Naga tower. Also checking again to see if there has been any sort of movement to an expansion, but no, at this point there hasn't. Great observer placement. You can see exactly what's going on. Now, I would not suggest at this point OpTiKzErO pushing. You can take a look at this placement here. Not going to be a very good idea, but actually just moving down his forces to secure that Xel'Naga and to grab this third base. So OpTiKzErO at this point trying to get that economic advantage. We do still have this Banshee chilling out over here, and one down here as well, checking those expansions. This Banshee is probably going to be moving into this expansion sometime in the near future, and starting to do a little bit of damage on it. I really think at this point that Naama is in a really strong position. It's really going to come down to, when any engagement takes place, how the storms go down, and if we can get any solid EMPs and or snipes on those High Templar. That's really going to determine this game right now. I would say neither player has a huge upper hand over the other at this point. As far as army is concerned, I definitely think Naama's in a really strong position, but again, we do have this expansion coming up right now for OpTiKzErO, and looks like some cannon placement going down, trying to deal with those possible cloaked Banshees without having to have observers everywhere that, you know, he has expansions up basically. He doesn't want to kind of sit observers everywhere possible. And a nice stem going down, going to be taking out this one probe and should be able to micro away from that Zealot, but no, Charge Zealot is on the board, so that Marine is going to be dropped very quickly. Here is that Banshee. You can see that expansion going down. So right now, Naama knows the expansion up. Look at his response, almost immediate. Going to be salvaging all these bunkers, and it looks like he's going to be pushing right now, grabbing up the entirety of his army, getting all those siege tanks and lots of tanks right now. Very Marine heavy as well, though. So again, does have to be very careful about all those High Templar we do have on the board. Taking a look at the unit counting station, we do have 3 High Templar on the board, but they are all like really high on energy right now, so there's gonna be a lot of storms going down. You can see Naama, though, getting ready to move to the center, going to be securing that center part of the map and or pushing on this expansion right now. He does still want to keep an eye on these rocks. You can see OpTiKzErO with this observer over here, so he could find a great opportunity to go ahead and push into the main of Naama, but this is obviously a very threatening push. Lots and lots of units right now. Taking a look at that army counting station, big advantage at this point. Wow, big feedbacks going down on those ghosts, and want to see some storms. Look at that siege line go up. This is a big problem right now for OpTiKzErO. He's going to be losing this expansion, no doubt. It's a matter of whether or not he does not have the forces at this point to deal with this. Way too many tanks. OpTiKzErO is just way too far behind right now. Nice feedback going down on that Raven, dropping it quickly. EMP taking away all of that energy, and that is good game. And that was pretty ridiculous. Very one-sided battle right there. Naama just with that huge siege line and no big storms managed to go down on this big bio army of Naama because of some great EMP placement. We did see that those feedbacks go down, but again, not quite enough. Definitely wanted those storms to take out the main main army of Naama. Again, he still had to contend with all of these tanks, and he just didn't have enough to deal with. It wasn't enough army size for OpTiKzErO, so unfortunately did get rolled over by this big Terran army. But either way, good game between these two players. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I will be moving on to game number 2 right now. So as always, if you like the content, subscribe to the channel, keep watching, and keep owning. The probes, and then just target fire that immortal, taking it out, and then continue to do damage. You can see there is not another unit out. He had to wait for that warp gate research, so there would have been nothing out, and he would have definitely had a window of opportunity to do a little more damage. So I definitely think that was a missed opportunity for Naama, unfortunately. And we do have a Dark Shrine right now coming out for OpTiKzErO, grabbing that Twilight Council, and then coming out with that Dark Shrine. And what else do we have going on here? A War Prism. So we're going to see a War Prism coming in right now, and probably going to be warping in units right inside of Naama's base. Hitting that economy, of course, is a very important thing. We do, of course, have a Banshee on the way out as well. With this Observer, he's going to have a fairly good idea of when that comes out, as long as he keeps it here to see what finishes out of that starport. And in seeing a Banshee, he would be fearful, of course, of Cloak, so he's going to want to bring his Observer back home. But very interesting play so far, going straight for a War Prism DT drop. Not the most standard of things, but can, of course, be very effective. So seeing that Banshee move out right now, OpTiKzErO is going to be aware.